I'm reading from one of my favorite books. It's called A Thousand Names for Joy. It's by Byron Katie with Stephen Mitchell, her husband Stephen Mitchell. Byron Katie with Stephen Mitchell. And the subtitle of this book is Living in Harmony with the Way Things Are. And I consider it one of my basic tenets for my life. Who would I be if I lived in harmony with the way things are? Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I have to love it. It sure doesn't mean that I condone it. And my choice is whether I'm in harmony with it or not. So all the power in the universe is in that question for me. I'm reading from chapter 79 from the book, A Thousand Names for Joy. Now, this is really going to irritate some of you. So if you don't want your hell taken from you, now would be the time to put your hands over your ears and do the blah, blah, blah as I read, because this is really going to be a challenge for some of you. The first quote is from the Tao. That's what the basis of the book is, a word from the Tao, an excerpt from the Tao, and then Byron Katie's reflections and application of that. So the reading from the Tao Te Ching, is failure is an opportunity. Na, 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 na. Failure is an opportunity. What? Who wants to fail? Who wants to experience failure? And aren't you just sick of hearing things like, oh, that's an opportunity. Oh, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity to grow. Well, what if it's true? What if it's true? Failure is an opportunity. Not just an opportunity, but what if failure is the whole scheme? Trial and error. How we learn. It is actually how we grow, and how we know what works and what doesn't, and what shoe fits us and what doesn't, and what purse is too heavy for our shoulder and which one isn't, and which one glasses will stay up on our nose and which ones won't. What if we didn't mind? What if you didn't mind failure? What if I didn't mind failing or being seen as a failure? Here we go, quoting. It's impossible to fail at anything. It's impossible to fail at anything. Your success just may not look the way you thought it would. If your goal was to go from point A to point C, for example, and instead you went from point A to point B, that's not half a success. That's a complete success. The way of it. If you can go all the way to C, and you plan to go all the way to C, good. Don't we love it when our dreams come true? But if you get only halfway, there's no sane reason to think you failed at that. There's no sane reason to say that you failed just because it didn't turn out the way you think it should have turned out. It's your job to open your mind and realize, why is it better to have gotten to B instead of to C? In life, there's a sweeter dream. There's a sweeter dream than yours. Imagine. There's a better dream, a sweeter dream than even the one you have. That's the ultimate dream, the kindest dream. We don't know where we're going. Period. We just like to imagine that we know. I never believe it. That way, whenever I am, that way, wherever I am, not whenever, but that way, wherever I am on my journey, it's complete. I'm a success, period. Simply because I am. Our nature is goodness. I know that's true because any thought that sees something as not good feels like stress. Stress tells us it's a false belief. I can't be rejected. That's not possible. If someone says, I don't want to be with you, I think, how wonderful. He's showing me whom not to be with. I don't take it personally. I remember when I didn't want to be with me either. So I can appreciate his feelings and him not wanting to be with me. I can remember what that's like. And I can join him there. And I understand that the reason he doesn't want to be with me is that he believes what he thinks about me. He can't help it because he hasn't questioned his mind. Every time you think you have failed, you're identifying as a failure. And every time this identification arises, other thoughts surface that attempt to prove it. They show up as evidence. That's how the confused mind stays confused. That's how mind allows itself to live in the illusion of a past that never existed. If someone says, Katie, you failed to answer my email, I would laugh and think to myself, well, of course. There's no other way for me to succeed at being me. And then I might say, tell me, what was your email about? I can answer it now. 1,000 names for joy, living in harmony with the way things are. I pray, believe, you get only that much out of this book compared to what this book has brought to me.